we doing, everybody? It is hot. It's really, really
It's
hot. I mean, it's not good. It's not pleasant. Like, try being pale, try having red hair. This is not the most fun in the world. This country, in England, right, we don't really embrace air conditioning like other parts of the world do. So, guys, it's hot in this country right now. Also, something that's hot. Me and James are going to go through how we think the top six is going to shake out right now. Now, guys, it is the 18th of July. Okay, there's transfer windows still going to be ongoing for a good chunk of time, right? There are going to be big deals that you would imagine still to happen for all of these six teams. So James and I are reserving the right to change our mind, and we will do our final prediction for the table and whatnot after the transfer window slams shut. But right now, as things stand, where things look like they're going to be going, we just wanted to do a quick kind of top six prediction, and then we'll do a full table at some point in the future. James, I just wanted to ask you real quick though, how difficult did you find kind of mapping out the top six here? Was it because I'm not gonna lie to you, for me, I found like it was pretty easy for me. I didn't spend too much time thinking about it. How about you?
as it stands right now. It's just doing like that. It's changing every single day. Like Jack,
Right.
we were meant to do this like a few days ago, and it didn't happen. And I had my table sorted out there, and I changed it straight away. And
Ooh,
not
okay.
only today with the rumors and all that sort of stuff there, like my head is just going every single minute. And I have a few ones that I want to put over, but they haven't shown me enough to make that change yet. But anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And guys, like I said, and I'm going to repeat it because it's super, super important. Neymar to Chelsea, right? You know, Presnel Kimpembe to Chelsea. Just thinking about that as an example. Ronaldo leaving Manchester United, right? Manchester United getting Frankie de Jong. Arsenal signing Milinkovic-Savic. These are all big game changer to the position type transfers that could still happen. So we're just doing it based on the here and now. We're going to do it as a snake. So obviously, James and I don't look like we're copying one another. James, first of all, who have you got in sixth position out of the top six in the Premier League at the end of the 22-23 season?
As much as I want to say higher, I got to be truthfully honest with myself here. I'm gonna say my team Arsenal. I feel like we've had a decent window so far. Some good buys, especially Gabriel Jesus, especially in pre-season. He's been tremendous. And like, can he be the one to lead Arsenal? I think he definitely can. Maybe not give him all the responsibility. I do want to see somebody else come in. But I look at the rest of the teams there, and I don't think we have the amount of quality the rest of the teams pose, like a Manchester United, like a Liverpool, like a Man City, like a Chelsea and Tottenham. We don't have that, like that sort of quality there. And again, we still have time to add. Now, if we add to it in the right positions, like to me, if we get another two centre mids in, another wide player, maybe another attacking midfielder, then we can have a whole different discussion right now. But as it stands with Arsenal, I don't believe that we have enough quality to take us over the edge. I felt like last season, after them last two games, that was our opportunity to make a statement for this season by bringing in, getting Champions League football and attracting more better players. And obviously that didn't happen. And I feel like with that not happening, I do believe that it plays a psychological barrier on us, because now we've had two seasons in a row where we've been in pole position to make a Europa League final, to make top four, and we failed either time. And I do feel like that will play a big part in maybe our shortcomings this season in the league.
Look, James, what I think we'll do is when both of the same team are kind of on the board at the same time, we can then kind of get into more of a conversation from it. But I'm just going to park Arsenal there because they're not there for me just yet. Sixth for me, Manchester United. Now, one thing that I like to look at going forward is obviously consistency. And when things change, there's an unpredictability aspect, right, of what's going to happen. New coaches, new players, new this, new that, turmoil at the club and whatnot. I hate to say this, Eric Ten Hag is largely an unproven coach at this kind of a level of club. We are not getting a guy who's managed Real Madrid, who's managed Juventus, Bayern Munich, all these big, big teams. I'm not trying to demean Ajax. And in terms of a football coaching education, been under Pep Guardiola, managed this Ajax team, which had fantastic success for what they should have been capable of doing. But these things take time, James. And I'm not expecting it in the first season to be talking about this Manchester United side as challenging for a title, dominating for top four. Again, there's a lot of the transfer window left, but as it stands right now, if you've got Scott McTominay and Fred as your central midfield partnership, even if Eric Ten Hag's your coach, I don't know how much that's going to do it. Anthony Martial back from a failed, I think, loan at Sevilla. There's still a lot of unknowns. Now, I think this team, when they're playing their best, they're right up there with Manchester City. And I stand by that. You might think, well, hang on a minute, that's a bit strong. I do stand by that. When this club is playing at its best with the talent that it has, they're largely unstoppable. We saw that Solskjaer period after we were coming back from lockdown. That was the best team in the league. So again, can they reach that? Yes. Do I feel super confident about it? I'm going to say no at this point. So as the snake kind of works here, I'm going to go fifth. James, fifth for me is Chelsea. Similarly to Manchester United, and there are actually some real similarities there, I've got to say. Okay, the manager's still the same, but lots of player turnover there, right? Lukaku's not going to be there. And I see all these comments about, oh, he might come back in, for next season. No, have you seen some of his comments? He said it was a mistake for me to leave in the first place, Inter, blah, blah, blah. He's done with Chelsea, I think, completely done. Antonio Rudiger's gone. Christensen's gone. Ben Chilwell's coming back from a very, very serious injury. Supposedly, Cesar Azpilicueta might be leaving as well. I think we saw from the midfield three of Conte, Kovacic, and Jorginho. Conte and Jorginho weren't quite at it as well. Kai Havertz, is he going to hit the mark? Timo Werner, is he going to develop more as well? New ownership. Again, too many unknowns for me to feel super comfortable. And James, one thing I know about Chelsea Football Club, there's an expiry date on the manager position. And I'm looking at my watch right now and I'm seeing somebody like Thomas Tuchel and I'm thinking like, look, you may be really good at your job, but if there's one thing I know about Chelsea Football Club, they go through managers like nothing else. So to me, a month, 2 months, maybe of bad form, I could easily see a manager change in at Stamford Bridge.
Yes, so my fifth choice is going to be, as it stands right now, I'm going to say Manchester United. They were in my top four, but the uncertainty of certain things going on there, the fact that they don't have a midfielder coming in, I feel like that's the biggest thing. If they bring in let's say a Frankie de Jong or Yuri Tielemans, the whole game changes for me. I do think a lot of it is, to me, dependent on what is going on with the Manchester United midfield. I like other parts of their game, like Martinez that they bought in. Overall, people go, he's a small defender, but listen, I feel like he's going to be a huge plus for this Manchester United team, and I like what Erik Ten Hag is bringing. I look at, for instance, I can only take off what I see from the preseason games. I get it, it's preseason, but Jack, what I can see to Manchester United is a shape and like an actual identity when they have the ball. It seems every player seems to know their role. Yeah, and I was watching players like McTominay and Fred. Jack, they're getting the ball and they're shifting it around the corner. They're not always looking for the sideways pass. I'm seeing McTominay a few times breaking a few lines and playing the ball forward. So I like what Manchester United are building. Now, if they can get that midfielder in, Jack, I do believe that I'll be looking at a third to fourth place finish, because to me, this squad, people talk about, oh yeah, what happened last year. Jack, this is still a very, very talented Manchester United squad when you really look deep in it. Yeah, and again, we must see what happens with Cristiano Ronaldo. Will he is he going to be there? If he isn't going to be there, then again, that might be an issue there, because goals are goals. It's hard to replace 25, 30 goals this season, Jack.
Right.
It's really hard. So there's a lot of uncertainty with Manchester United, and that's what puts me at fifth right now. But if they get all this right, they'll be looking to me maybe again, with no Champions League football, maybe a mini sort of challenge. I really don't take that way.
I'm not against you. I've got them even lower than you do, but this is the team that, James, we could be coming to the tail end of next year and we could be looking back at this video and going, damn, we were so stupid. Why didn't we see this happen? Of course, Erik Ten Hag got the best out of Rashford, Martial, Sancho. Of course he did. Of course, Bruno Fernandes rediscovered his numbers in terms of goals, assists, and whatnot, right? Of course he did, And guys, Lisandro Martinez, Koulibaly, sorry to break any hearts out of there of any Chelsea fans. This is a fantastic signing for Manchester United. And in the central defence position, this is the exact kind of guy that they've actually been missing. Seriously, Koulibaly, if we were talking about 2017 Koulibaly, I think that's a different conversation. But as of right now, I think the Manchester United have won that kind of centre-back little pairing there. So James, we've both kind of gone through our sixth and fifth here. Who have you got fourth?
Fourth place at this moment of time, I have Spurs. You people would probably want to put them higher in like the Antonio Conte factor does make everybody go a bit crazy, and I do get that. Listen, I do have them at four, which is to finish fourth in Premier League is like no mean feat. What Tottenham have done this season, it's been good. I don't think it's been outstanding, but bringing Ivan Perisic, Bissouma, which is to me one of the most underrated buys of the of the season,
Sure.
has kind of went under the radar. I think that's a brilliant buy for them. Then bringing in Richarlison, having somebody to bolster that attacking force. But I look at Tottenham, and the one thing that has me worried about them personally is going forward and creating chances. So if Harry Kane isn't creating chances, who is going to be that player creating chances? Because Jack, let's be honest, you look at the Tottenham midfield, there isn't like a proper creative spark there. And I look back on how Tottenham were successful before. You had a player like Christian Eriksen there, creating chances. Harry Kane could play a lot further forward and like score a lot of goals. So I look at if Tottenham are able to get that attacking midfielder in, or like even that deep line creative player, I do what you're on about with Bentancur, but that creative guy in the middle, I believe that would bolster them up, and then you'll be looking at them maybe challenging a city in Liverpool, maybe not all the way, but giving them at least like a little bit of a go. But at this moment of time, fourth place for this Tottenham team.
Yeah, I'm understandable. Fourth place for me, James, I've got your Arsenal. I've got them in there. And again, the reason why I think I've got them a little higher than you do, I think I'm putting a decent amount of weight into the consistency factor. Mikel Arteta, James, has kind of, rode the waves here a little bit of his highs and of his lows, right? And he's still there. There's been immense pressure at times for him to no longer be there. I think the recruitment, again, has, it's been underrated, but it's been pretty good, right? I think Ben White has largely, it's not been Harry Maguire level of like making fun of how bad he's been, right? I think Takahiro Tomiyasu was a fantastic signing that was kind of really like, staring him right in the face, and that's one that they've been able to pull off. We'll see what happens with Gabriel Jesus. Again, I know I mentioned this before to you guys out there listening. I think with a minimum of 30 shots in Europe's top 5 leagues, the most accurate shooter of the football in Europe's top 5 leagues is Emil Smith-Rowe. Now, you might be thinking, what? How is he that close to the thing? Now, again, that may not necessarily translate to goals, but I'm just telling you that there's upside here for guys who've shown themselves to be great players and have really like nice levels of positives going into the future. Like you said, James, couple of signings here and there, right? A Tielemans, right? A Milinkovic-Savic, something like that. We'll see what happens with Gabriel Jesus. William Saliba coming back. He had a fantastic year in the French league, I think, by all accounts. Not that I watched him, but in terms of the individual awards he's won and the analysis that I've seen. So to me, I just think there's a level of consistency that Arsenal have going forward. And again, with a little bit more investment, I would say they are a good chunk ahead in terms of optimism of Chelsea and Manchester United, who are below them. Because James, those are two teams, as we speak right now, I can't trust those two teams. I can't. I really, really can't. Moving on, my third place team, I got Spurs here. Now, I totally understand what you've said about, that creative aspect of it, right? What I'd say to you is I look back at Antonio Conte's most recent success prior to Spurs, and I look at that Inter Milan team, and I wonder where the kind of creative aspect came from there. Now, largely speaking, that was from wing-back, right? That was from out wide. That was from Achraf Hakimi, and that was from the combination play of Romelu Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez, right? The central midfield position, obviously, you've got like Brozovic and Nicola Barella and that kind of thing, but they're not really the creative players in the way that I think you're talking about it as kind of like a progressive 8 or a 10. So I don't think that's something that Conte's going to worry about. And what I like about Conte is this is not a man who's thinking about 2 years, 3 years time, making profit on players, developing guys, bringing them on. He's signing a 33-year-old Ivan Perisic because he knows when called upon, when he's in the left wing-back role for this Spurs team, he's going to do a fantastic job and he's going to be able to do what he needs to do. Yves Bissouma, right? Same thing as somebody like a Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. He's got another general out there that he can kind of tell what to do. And in terms of attacking talent as well, we kind of made this joke recently about a gritty forward, right? Richarlison's your guy. I'm super high on Dejan Kulusevski. I think he's one of the better wingers in world football at the moment. Harry Kane, undroppable. Heung-min Son, award-winning last year. So goals, I'm really not worried about. Clement Longley as well. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this is going to be the best centre-back in the world. But to me, he can come in and just provide either good cover or good consistency to that centre-back position. I'm giving a lot of credit to the consistency, the signing, and James, it's Antonio Conte at the end of the day. That's a man I'm not going to bet against. That's who I've got third.
Decent there. So my third place is this moment, and to me has the ability to definitely rise, is Chelsea. Now I want to put Chelsea a little bit higher, but I don't believe that they've done quite enough yet to take over in the second spot. But Jack, you mentioned the word that got me. You said a big squad turnover, and I go, what big squad turnover? When you really look at it, Jack, what they let go of striker that they didn't really fancy last season. How many big games did Lukaku play? You know, yeah, there was a lot of times when he's coming off the bench, or times he just didn't even play at all. Okay, the one position that I'll give you is the centre back position. Yeah, Antonio Rudiger, massive loss there. Yeah, Christensen, another big loss, but I don't think it's as big as like Rudiger when I look at it. They've already brought in Koulibaly, who to me is as good as a defender. Like when you weigh him up against Rudiger, maybe like at this moment of time he's not as good as Rudiger, but when you look at what he's done in the past, definitely like as good as him. And maybe and like maybe the way Chelsea played with the three at the back could protect him with his deficiencies nowadays. I'm not saying Rudiger, like Koulibaly wasn't great back in the day, but now he might have like a few deficiencies there. They still have to bring in another centre back. I thought that was going to be Matthijs de Ligt, but it's not going to be. They're talking about Nathan Ake there, but I don't look at Chelsea and I don't see like this huge, massive turnover there. The midfield kind of stays the same. The goalkeeper stays the same. The wide player stays the same. The attacking players kind of stay the same. By one player there. There isn't that much of a turnover there. This Chelsea team, if they bring in one or two players, then like you'll be turning your head thinking, okay, yeah, they're here, you know. And like that biggest one for me is that to me that striker position. If Chelsea can just get it right from the point of view of playing in the striker position, then we're in serious trouble. You look at last season in the two cup finals that they played in, that they were able to create big chances and they failed. Yeah, from the point of view is that they didn't have a goal scorer. Now, if they can bring in a goal scorer who can get them a consistent 25 to 30 goals, then that's a whole different ball game for me.
Well, again, this is the problem, isn't it? And finding those are in short supply at the moment. This is not 10, 15 years ago where there's just a plethora of elite level forward talent going on. A lot of them have been snapped up. Erling Haaland has gone to City. Dusan Vlahovic has gone. Kylian Mbappe stayed, right? There's not really the striker surplus that we had back in the day to kind of bolster that side of the game. I still stand by the turnover thing. I really do, though. Christensen, Rudiger, Lukaku leaving as well. And I think it's just the other names that were rumoured as well. And James, the central midfield position, apart from, I would say, Kovacic, was a little bit of a letdown for those guys now. And I think a few of the wide players have been caught out, hence why we're looking at Sterling being brought in. Presnel Kimpembe, supposedly that Ake deal has fallen through. I think Ake agreed personal terms, but then City have rejected all the approaches so far. So it looks like a bid for Presnel Kimpembe from PSG is starting to happen now that De Ligt has gone to Bayern Munich. So that kind of makes sense. James, in terms of ceiling, I think that, Chelsea and Manchester United, don't get me wrong, I've gotten them 5th and 6th, but don't get me wrong, these are guys that could make title pushes. I'm not going to, I'll be surprised, I think, if Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United win the title next year, but I'll understand where that's come from. Don't get me wrong. I think it's just how the last few kind of weeks and months of this transfer window pan out that will really make a big change. Because James, again, American ownership, Todd Boehly, right? Like a splashy signing. Who's that going to be? We don't know. There's been rumors with Neymar, right? Guys, Neymar goes to Stamford Bridge. This conversation changes. If you think I'm having Chelsea 5th with Neymar Jr. out on that left wing for Chelsea, you are having a laugh. So moving into actually, James, it's you, I believe, again. Who have you got in second?
Jack, I like to think that we both think alike from the point of view of who we both have second. So sure. Can we just say it? I go 1, 2, 3. We just say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Liverpool. Yeah.
Now, Jack, when we mention Liverpool, you expect me to say, "Oh, it's going to be neck and neck with Manchester City." I don't think so. I think that Liverpool is second, but I think it's a second with a drop off. I don't think that they have the same consistency to match Liverpool. From the point of view, my biggest thing is that Mane leaving Liverpool is bigger than what people actually make it out to be. And I know what people says that they got him in his prime, played very well for him. They sold him for the same amount. He's even older now. We bring in this fantastic striker for 100 million euros. We're fine. I don't think it works like that, Jack. I really don't think it works like that, because the way Liverpool are, Mane is so important. That to me would be the equivalent of, you look at some of the greatest teams of all time. That would be like taking Iniesta out of Barcelona, or taking Benzema out of that Real Madrid team. You know, you look at some of the greatest teams. You taking like you taking their second best attacking player out there and saying, guys, can we just like move on and keep that same consistency? It's very, very difficult. And Darwin Núñez, to me, I get it with Jurgen Klopp. He's been able to turn water into wine and make players like Diego Jota, Luis Diaz, for Jack, Mo Salah turn into these world beaters. But to me, when you have that expectation on you, 100 million euros, it's hard just to walk in and you're going to hit the ground running like that. I do believe that there's a lot of eyes on him. Now, do I believe he will succeed at Liverpool long term? Yes. But to say he's just going to bed in straight away and Liverpool's just going to hit the ground running, I don't think so, Jack. I do believe that they're going to finish second at this moment of time, but I don't think they're going to challenge City the way that they have in the past.
It would be a monumental failure if they don't finish second. If they finish below second, something's gone horribly, horribly wrong. Now, I think where you and I disagree, I don't think the drop-off from Mane leaving is going to be that big. I think that with the likes of Jota, with the likes of Luis Diaz, you do have guys that can fill that hole. They're different styles of players to a certain extent, but I think that they will be able to make up for it as well. The biggest thing you mentioned there, James, you and I are both on Twitter, right? We've seen the compilations of Darwin Núñez. It has not been pretty. And again, I would like to reiterate my concerns that we had in our video however many months ago now. Yeah, guys, this is a guy who, last season got like a goal a game, but the season before that got like 5 goals in 28 games.
Jack, can I just say, anybody that's criticizing Darwin Núñez or watching a few preseason compilation can just get lost. It just doesn't make sense, guys.
Also, the main one I've seen, mate, I don't know if you've seen this one. There was a cross from the right hand side.
Yeah.
It gets deflected from a centre back as he's shooting, and it looks like he just misses the ball. I would charge anybody, right, to, after it's just been deflected off a toe from like less than a yard away, for you to hit a clean ball and try and score. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. So yeah, let's not criticize too much. But again, my concerns do still go back to, I largely think in a Benfica team, this guy's come out of nowhere as somewhat of it seems like to be a one-season wonder. I don't have an utmost confidence here that he's going to be able to replace the goals of a Sadio Mane, right? I don't know at this point in time. Obviously, he can develop, but at this point in time, who has more value, Divock Origi or Darwin Núñez? I think that's a pretty close conversation at this point. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm just saying, anyway, in terms of why I have him second, yes, I do agree with you. That tier one that used to have Man City and Liverpool, I think Liverpool are dropping out of that. Liverpool will be joining Chelsea, Manchester United, and the North London clubs pretty soon. That would be my guess at this point, right? However, is the drop off going to be that bad with Alisson in goal, Virgil van Dijk, Konate, right, Joel Matip, Trent, Andrew Robertson, that midfield, Mo Salah is still there, Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota, and Jurgen Klopp? No, I still think second for them is what's going to happen. So, James, I hate to agree with you on kind of the two more interesting positions, but 3, 2, 1, Manchester City. Guys, I'm going to start here, I guess. This is madness, right? In terms of consistency, in terms of what they've been able to do, in terms of the way it's playing out in the transfer market as well. You've already got Erling Haaland there, right? I think supposedly that if Zinchenko were to leave, it looks like Marc Cucurella, who had a fantastic year last year, will fill in at left wing back for them going forward as well. Again, Pep Guardiola, you got Julian Alvarez coming in as that forward position. I think that Pep's going to do some sort of a 3-5-2, 5-3-2 variation that's going to shock everybody next year.
They got five sub next year, so Pep might do some madness.
Honestly,
he might. I think there was an interview after winning the league. He goes that just watch me next year. I'm going to play with 12.
Honestly, like he's and it's going to be like that. I'm not trying to be too overly dramatic here, but with the way that the squad is set up, with the players at the kind of the peak of their powers, and you add Erling Haaland to the mix, James, another 100-point season. I'm not going to rule that out. Again, I think that they are clear favourites, clear favourites, and I honestly don't see anything stopping them because, James, any other transfer outgoings, I think we've seen rumours about Bernardo Silva to Barcelona has been agreed and all this nonsense. The players coming in, I have full faith in them succeeding because Pep Guardiola knows what he's looking for in terms of talent. Man City.
Jack, what can I say? We know what Manchester City brought last season. I feel like it was different from, let's say, Man City missing Sterling to Liverpool missing Mane. From the point of view of Sterling, the last 2 seasons hasn't really, let's say, played as big of a part as he did in previous seasons. Not saying that he wasn't big for Manchester City last season, he was, but the miss for Liverpool is bigger than the miss for Manchester City. Now, Manchester City obviously miss Sterling, but they bring in a guy who, Jack, you talk about the most prolific striker in Europe right now. I think you look at his shot to goal ratio, it's probably one of the highest in Europe. Like it's like, uh, you look at like his appearance to goal ratio in the Champions League, ridiculous.
Yeah.
The appearance to goal ratio in the Bundesliga is ridiculous. Everywhere he's been, he scored goals. Internationally, he scored goals. He's now coming into a Manchester City team who just on counter, like on a counterfeit, they're going to create tons and tons of chances. How many times do you see Manchester City build out from wide? Let's say De Bruyne makes a straight run, a diagonal ball in, De Bruyne pulls it back or like flashes it across the box, and there's no Manchester City player there to tap it in, or like there's, for instance, Sterling in the back post waiting to tap it in. You now have Erling Haaland in the middle, the king poacher at this moment of time in the middle right now. How is this not going to work? Now, Jack, as I said, I put my hat on many things happening. I will be shocked as hell if Erling Haaland does not succeed in this Manchester City team. I don't see it taking him time to adjust. Listen, with a player like that, if Guardiola can't make this work, then I have questions about him as a manager, personally, because that is, to me, that is a sign, that is absolutely tremendous. You look at this Manchester City team, they're always going to go. They're always going to go. They have a manager who's obsessed with winning and is obsessed with getting the best out of players. You know, he had a player like Sterling there who, to me, has been the second best player since he's been at Manchester City. He's got rid of him and brought in new blood, right? He's always getting ready to refresh and go again and go again and go again. And you best believe they're going to be ready to go again, not only for the league, also for the Champions League.
Domestic cups too. Yeah, like James, you're absolutely right. Erling Haaland has no weaknesses. It's very, very rare that a forward has zero weaknesses, and that's what Erling Haaland has. Now, maybe at the top tier, if you compare it, doing the him and Mbappe comparison, right? Is Mbappe maybe like a little bit more clinical, a little bit, physically in terms of his agility, quickness, short area speed, and all that kind of stuff? Sure, that's fine. But again, Erling Haaland in nearly every statistical category, every metric that you could look at, every ability, this guy's at least an 8 out of 10. This is going to work. The wild card always going to be Julian Alvarez as well. Defense still strong, goalkeeper's position still strong. It's a Pep Guardiola football team, so the midfield's going to be strong there as well. And I still think there are signings to come. Look, James, I'll be honest with you, just to kind of wrap up here a little bit. I think anywhere from second to sixth could move around. I really mean that. I'm not ruling out having Liverpool, once it's all said and done, finishing maybe third. Another thing that's largely forgotten here, James, I think a lot of that Liverpool squad are in their early 30s now. This Liverpool squad feels like it's gotten old very, very quickly. Manchester United are signing, Chelsea are signing, like we talked about. Again, if those two clubs make big moves in the transfer market, can I see Arsenal dropping down or Spurs dropping down? Of course I can. But that number one spot really does feel like it's, cemented.
Jack, listen.